Welcome back to the Deep End. Today is January 24th, 2026, and we are looking at a figure who, frankly, serves as a litmus test for how you view the modern internet.
It really does, depending on who you ask.
Mhm.
He is either a business genius who cracked the code of the attention economy, a gifted athlete who revitalized professional wrestling, or...
Or, well, the guy who made that video in Japan.
Exactly. It's a name that brings up a lot of baggage.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, the immediate reaction is just visceral. It's an eye roll. It's anger. It's a flashback to a very specific, very ugly moment in a forest almost a decade ago.
Right. We are talking about Logan Paul. And before you roll your eyes or instinctively reach for that skip button, just stay with us.
Please do.
Because even if you dislike the guy, and look, there are plenty of legitimate reasons why you might, dismissing him means ignoring one of the most fascinating case studies in media survival we've ever seen.
That is the mission of this deep dive, really.
Yeah.
We aren't here to praise him, and we certainly aren't here to bury him. We are here to understand the mechanism, the how. How does a college dropout from Westlake, Ohio, go from making these little 6-second loops on a defunct app to sharing a boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather?
And not just sharing a ring, but then holding championship belts in the WWE, running a beverage empire that's in every single convenience store in the country. It's unbelievable.
And all of that while navigating, and let's be honest, often creating scandals that would have just completely ended the career of almost anyone else.
It's the paradox of the maverick. And since it is 2026, we have the benefit of hindsight to look at his entire trajectory, including some of the massive shifts in his career over just the last 12 months.
Yeah, and for this, we are pulling from a massive dossier. We've got his entire biographical timeline, the rise of the Low Gang, all the boxing stats, the business financials of Prime and Lunchley, and yes, the extensive legal records regarding his controversies.
We're going to cover it all, the highs, the lows, the lawsuits, and the latest heel turns. So let's unpack this. Where does the Logan Paul story actually begin? Because he didn't just spawn into existence on Vine, did he?
No, not at all. And I think this is where people often get the wrong impression of him right from the start.
How so?
They see the goofball, right? The loud, sometimes obnoxious influencer, and they assume he's just someone who got lucky with the camera. But if you look at his early life in Westlake, Ohio, the foundation is actually high-level athletics.
Born on April Fool's Day, 1995. Which, honestly, you couldn't write a better birthday for a guy whose life is basically one giant prank on the traditional media establishment.
It is poetic, isn't it? It's a little too on the nose. But look at the stats from Westlake High School. In Northeast Ohio, high school football isn't a hobby, it's a religion.
Oh, for sure. It's everything.
And in 2012, he wasn't just the class clown making videos in his spare time. He was the plain dealer all-star linebacker.
Wow. Okay, so that's a serious accolade.
It's a very serious football accolade in a state that produces a ton of NFL talent, and it doesn't stop there. The next year, in 2013, he qualified for the state-level wrestling championships.
That wrestling background is the Chekhov's gun of his career, isn't it? It just sits there on the mantelpiece for Act 1 and 2, and then in Act 3, the WWE, it goes off in a huge way.
It absolutely is. It proves he understands discipline. You don't get to the state level in or higher wrestling by just being loud and charismatic. You have to grind.
Oh, the grind is brutal.
It's weight cuts, it's conditioning, it's suffering, it's a level of mental and physical toughness that most people just don't have. So when he went to Ohio University to study industrial engineering, he already had that work ethic baked in. But then the metrics of the internet started calling his name.
And this is the Vine era, 2013, 2014. For the younger listeners, or for those who have, maybe blocked that era out of their memory.
A lot of us have tried.
Imagine TikTok, but you only had 6 seconds, and you couldn't edit it after you shot it. It was completely raw. You had to get the joke, the stunt, everything in one continuous take.
And Logan mastered it. He had a real knack for that format. The physical comedy, the quick cuts, the jump scares. By 2014, he had dropped out of college.
To move to Los Angeles, which must have sounded insane to his parents. I am dropping out of engineering to make 6-second videos.
Can you imagine that conversation? But this is a crucial moment for the influencer economy. He moved into an apartment complex on Hollywood and Vine. Again, the address is just poetic. But he wasn't alone.
No, this is the key part.
He was living with guys like Mark Donner, Evan Eckenrode, and he was neighbors with people like Amanda Cerny and Juan Pazurita. All of them were massive on the platform.
It's basically a content frat house. The first collab house before that was even a term.
We call it the roommate effect. They cross-pollinated their audiences constantly. If you followed Wampapa, you inevitably saw Logan in one of his videos. If you followed Logan, you saw Amanda. It created this powerful feedback loop of growth.
So his audience wasn't just growing, it was being reinforced by other huge creators.
Exponentially. And the numbers are staggering. By 2015, Logan was officially the 10th most influential figure on Vine. But here's the number that blew my mind looking at the sources from back then. By October 2015, his Facebook videos alone had hit 300 million views.
300 million. In 2015, that is network television numbers, that's Super Bowl level attention, and naturally, Hollywood came knocking. Sort of.
Sort of is exactly the right way to put it. He got some roles. He was on Law & Order SVU, which is basically a rite of passage for every actor in New York or LA.
Everyone's done an SVU.
He did a show on Freeform called Stitchers, but there's a great story involving Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson that just perfectly sums up Logan's relationship with mainstream fame at the time.
Oh, I love this one. The Rock makes a video literally telling Logan to his face, hey, you've been cut from all of my movies.
It was this brutal public rejection, but it was all dressed up as a joke. But then in the same breath, Johnson turns around and makes him the official ambassador for the Baywatch movie.
It's the pattern we see over and over and over with him.
What is that?
Traditional media rejects Logan Paul, or tries to keep him at arm's length, so he just pivots and finds a way to force them to acknowledge him anyway. He becomes too big to ignore.
That's a perfect way to put it. And he also tried to make his own movie around that time, Airplane Mode. He called it Expendables with Internet Stars.
Which ended up being tied up in legal hell for years and was not well received when it finally came out.
No, it was not. But it showed his ambition. He didn't just want to be in movies, he wanted to be the studio. He wanted to control the production. But as his fame grew, so did the behavior. The attitude that would eventually lead to his first massive crash.
We're approaching 2017. This is the peak of the Logan. He's making millions. He's got the merch flying off the shelves. He's got the bird, the parrot, Maverick.
He's on top of the YouTube world.
But there were definite warning signs that the guardrails were coming off, that he was starting to believe his own hype a little too much.
The first major tremor, the first real sign of trouble, was actually musical. It was the song No Handlebars.
Right. November 2017. He takes the song Handlebars by the group Flowbots.
A song, by the way, that's about self-empowerment and potential.
And he completely twists it. He turns the lyrics into this just incredibly misogynistic anthem about riding women like bicycles.
And it wasn't just the awful lyrics, it was the sheer entitlement of it. He didn't clear the sample, he didn't ask for permission, he just took it.
He just assumed he could.
The Flowbots frontman, Jamie Laurie, wrote this scathing piece calling Logan the face of douchebag entitlement. And Logan's reaction, he didn't care, he ignored it. It was a clear sign that he felt untouchable. He thought the rules of copyright and, frankly, decency just didn't apply to him because he had the views.
And that exact attitude, that feeling of being above it all, leads us directly to the end of the year, December 31st, 2017, the Suicide Forest.
We have to stop here because even today, in 2026, nearly a decade later, this is still the defining scar in his career. This is the event that is in the first sentence of his obituary.
No question.
So he's in Japan for a series of vlogs he's calling his Tokyo Adventures. He decides to go to Aokigahara, a forest at the base of Mount Fuji.
Which is known, tragically, as a site where many people take their own lives.
A place that requires a level of solemnity and respect. And he goes in there with his friends, cameras rolling, goofing around.
And he finds a victim.
He finds the body of a man who had died by suicide. And instead of the normal human reaction, which would be to turn the camera off, call the authorities, and leave.
He keeps filming.
He keeps filming. He walks closer. He zooms in on the body. He makes jokes. His friends are clearly uncomfortable, but he keeps going. And then, after all of that, he uploads it.
The decision to upload it is the part I still can't wrap my head around. The filming is one thing, a horrific lapse in judgment. But then to edit it and click publish.
It implies a total disconnect from reality, a belief that everything is content. And the backlash wasn't just internet drama, it was nuclear.
It was global. You had politicians from all over the world condemning him. Celebrities. I remember Aaron Paul No Relation tweeted at him to rot in hell.
There was a petition on change.org that got over 720,000 signatures demanding that YouTube deletes his channel entirely.
And YouTube had to step in. They couldn't ignore this.
No, their hands were forced. They removed him from the Google Preferred program, which is the high-tier ad revenue stream. They put his YouTube Red original movies on hold indefinitely. For all intents and purposes, it looked like it was over. His career was finished.
And it wasn't just the Forest video, right? when people, horrified by that, went back and looked at the other footage from that Japan trip, it was really bad.
It was a pattern of chaotic disrespect for the culture. He was running through the streets in a kimono, throwing giant plush Pokeballs at moving vehicles and police officers. He was harassing people at the Tsukiji fish market, jumping on their carts.
He bought a dead fish and was carrying it around, smashing it on things.
Yes. The argument that the forest was a one-time mistake just didn't hold water because the entire trip was documented proof of a profound lack of empathy and cultural awareness.
So he gets back to the States, the world is on fire. He issues the apology. First, the tweet, with the now infamous line, "A severe and continuous lapse in my judgment."
And then the video, the tearful, "I've made a mistake."
And here's where the evolution part of our title really kicks in. Because most people, after a scandal of that magnitude, would have vanished. They would have just disappeared from public life.
Logan pivoted. He went into full-on crisis management mode. He pledged $1 million to suicide prevention charities. But more importantly, the most strategic move he made, he hired a handler.
Mike Majlak.
Mike Majlak. At the time, he was a marketing manager at Lovesac, the giant beanbag company. Logan brought him in to live with him, essentially as a professional babysitter. His job was to stand next to Logan 24/7 and whisper, "Don't do that," before he destroyed what was left of his career.
Which raises the million-dollar question, right? Was the growth and maturation we saw from him in 2018 and beyond genuine? Was it a real change of heart, or was it just a really expensive, really effective PR strategy orchestrated by Majlak?
That is the question that hangs over everything that comes next. Because while he was publicly learning and reflecting, he was also privately planning his next move. He realized that if he couldn't be the beloved vlogger anymore, he needed to find a new venue. A venue where being the bad guy, being hated, was actually an asset.
Violence.
Exactly. Legitimacy through combat.
So let's pivot to the boxing era. This starts with another YouTuber, KSI, a British creator who was huge in the gaming world.
And again, when KSI first called him out, people laughed. The whole concept of YouTuber boxing was a joke. Two internet guys who aren't real fighters putting on gloves.
But they were both smart enough to see the potential. They knew their audiences would eat it up.
They absolutely did. So the first fight was a white-collar amateur match in Manchester, England, in August 2018. It ended in a majority draw.
But the result was almost irrelevant. The numbers were what mattered.
The numbers were insane. It generated 1.3 million pay-per-view buys globally. To put that in perspective, that's more than most professional world title fights between actual champions. The promoters knew they had lightning in a bottle.
So they run it back in 2019. But this time, they up the stakes.
Big time. They turn pro, no headgear, smaller gloves. It's a sanctioned professional boxing match promoted by Eddie Hearn, one of the biggest promoters in the world, and it's at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
This was the moment the traditional sports world had to stop laughing and pay attention.
This was the moment, and Logan lost that fight by a close split decision. And we should note, he only lost because he had 2 points deducted in the fourth round for hitting KSI while he was down.
Which, again, points to that lack of discipline, that impulse control issue, in the heat of the moment. He had KSI hurt and got too aggressive.
Or you could argue it's that win-at-all-costs mentality. But even in losing, he proved he could sell out a major arena. He proved he could take a punch and that he had some legitimate athletic ability. And that set the stage for the most absurd but financially brilliant athletic event of the decade.
Logan Paul versus Floyd Money Mayweather, June 2021.
I still can't believe this actually happened. You have an I-1 YouTuber against the 50-0 undisputed greatest defensive boxer of all time. It sounds like the setup to a joke.
It was an exhibition, not a real fight. No official winner was declared. It was billed as bragging rights.
Right. And Floyd Mayweather later admitted on the podcast he wasn't going 100%. He said if it was a real fight, it would have been a blowout in the first round. But none of that matters.
Why not?
Because what matters is the narrative, the story that got told. And the story was that Logan Paul, this big, lumbering YouTuber, stood in the ring with Floyd Mayweather for 8 full rounds and didn't get knocked out.
In the eyes of his fans and even a lot of casual viewers, that's a win.
It's a massive victory. It's survival. It's the Rocky story. And financially, it was a home run. They did 1 million pay-per-view buys. Logan reportedly pulled in somewhere around $50 million from that one event, though there were some disputes about him getting paid later on.
He turned a spectacle into a fortune. And, in a weird way, into a form of legitimacy.
He did. But the boxing chapter wasn't just about fighting legends. We have to talk about 2023. The Dylan Dennis fight.
Oh boy, this was where things got ugly again. Really ugly.
Dillon Danis is an MMA fighter, a teammate of Conor McGregor, and a notorious internet troll. And he decided the way to promote the fight was to relentlessly target Logan's then-fiancée, now wife, Nina Agdal.
He was posting old photos of her with past boyfriends, spreading rumors, and just really invasive, personal, and nasty stuff. It resulted in a lawsuit and a restraining order.
It was a genuinely vile promotion. It went way beyond typical trash talk. It was a true grudge match. And when they finally got in the ring in October 2023, the fight itself was just as bizarre as the buildup.
Dennis barely threw a punch. He was just taunting and trying to wrestle.
It was chaos. Then, in the sixth and final round, Danis attempts to put Logan in a guillotine choke, an illegal MMA move, in a boxing match. Security storms the ring. A brawl breaks out. Danis gets disqualified. Logan gets his first official win as a boxer.
But it felt hollow, right? Like a circus.
It was a total circus. But it served its purpose. It kept his name in the headlines. However, by 2023, Logan had already found his true calling. Boxing was just a stepping stone. The real destination, the place where all his skills converged, was the WWE.
The Maverick in the squared circle.
Yeah.
I have to say, as someone who's watched wrestling my whole life, I was extremely skeptical. We've seen celebrities come in, Snooki, Drew Carey, Jay Leno. It's usually terrible.
And Logan was different. And even his biggest haters, the most hardened wrestling purists, have to admit this. He didn't just show up for a paycheck. He dedicated himself to learning the craft.
He took it seriously.
Very seriously. He made his in-ring debut at WrestleMania 38 in 2022, teaming with The Miz against Rey and Dominic Mysterio. And he was good. Genuinely, shockingly athletic, great timing, great selling. He looked like he belonged there.
It's the perfect synthesis of everything he's good at. He was a high school wrestler, so he has the grappling base. He's a look-at-me influencer, so he understands how to work a crowd. And he's a theater kid at heart, so he can perform the character.
It is the perfect ecosystem for him. In WWE, being hated is a good thing. It's called being a heel. When 80,000 people are booing you, you're doing your job correctly. So all that baggage from the suicide forest, from the scams, from the arrogance, in a wrestling ring, that's not baggage. That's just fuel for your character work.
Let's talk about some of the highlights, because his run has been pretty incredible. Crown Jewel 2022 against Roman Reigns. This was only his third ever match.
His third match. And he's in the main event in Saudi Arabia for the undisputed Universal Championship against Roman Reigns, the biggest star in the entire industry. And the match was critically acclaimed. He tore the house down.
He did that frog splash off the top rope while filming himself on his phone.
The ultimate influencer move. It was brilliant. He understood how to integrate his persona into the match. And he got hurt in that match, by the way. He tore his MCL and meniscus.
Then there was the Royal Rumble in 2023, the spot that went viral everywhere.
The mid-air collision with Ricochet, the athleticism required for that is off the charts. They both springboard off the top ropes from opposite sides of the ring and crash into each other in the center. It was picture perfect.
But he also plays dirty. And this is where the character blends so perfectly with the real person's reputation. He won the United States Championship from the legendary Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel 2023 by using brass knuckles.
The brass knuckles became his thing. A friend would slip them to him, he'd hide the punch from the referee and get the cheap win. It's a classic cheat. It tells the audience, I'm athletic enough to beat you clean, but I'd rather take the shortcut because I don't respect you.
It's brilliant storytelling because it reinforces what a huge portion of the audience already thinks of him as a person.
Exactly. And his title reign was long. He held that belt for 273 days. He successfully defended it at WrestleMania XL in a triple threat match against two legends, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens.
And remember who helped him win that match. The streamer IShowSpeed, dressed as a giant Prime bottle, pulled him out of the way of an RKO.
I completely forgot about the Prime bottle mascot. It was so absurd. It's cross-promotion genius. He finally lost the belt at SummerSlam 2024 to LA Knight, ending a really significant reign.
Okay, so let's bring it up to the present day, or at least the recent past of late 2025 and early 2026, because his WWE story took a really dark turn.
It did. He'd been playing a babyface, a good guy for a little while. He even tried to align with John Cena at Money in the Bank in 2025, but that didn't work out. And then November 2025. The big shift.
The turn.
The turn. There's a new dominant heel stable called The Vision with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. They're beating down the beloved veteran CM Punk. And the Logan's music hits. He runs down to the ring.
And the crowd thinks, okay, Logan's going to make the save. He's going to be a good guy for a change.
Nope. He gets in the ring, looks at CM Punk, and then pulls out the brass knuckles and just clocks him. He lays him out. Then he picks up the knuckles, hands them to the legendary manager Paul Heyman, and joins the Vision.
And now, in January 2026, he's running Monday Night Raw with that crew. It feels like he's finally fully accepted that his best role is being the villain.
He tried to be a face after The Miz turned on him back in 2022, but it never really stuck. The crowd instinctively wants to boo him. So leaning into the Vision, aligning with Paul Heyman, who is the ultimate advocate for villains in wrestling, is the smartest creative move he could possibly make.
But while he's playing this corporate villain on TV, he's trying to be a genuine tycoon in real life. We have to talk about the business empire.
Let's start with the big one, Prime. You cannot walk into a grocery store, a gas station, a 7-Eleven, or a middle school cafeteria without seeing those brightly colored bottles.
It's everywhere. And it's co-founded with his former rival, KSI.
Which is another stroke of genius. They turned their beef into a billion-dollar brand. It's the ultimate monetization of hype. They bypassed traditional marketing and went straight to their combined 100 million-plus social media audience.
And then they launched Lunchly, the snack brand. It's vertical integration of their fan base's allowance money. It's incredibly savvy.
It is. But there is a very, very dark side to his business ventures, and this is a big one. We have to talk about CryptoZoo.
The CryptoZoo disaster. This is the shadow that hangs over his entire business reputation. The thing he can't seem to shake.
So it was launched in 2021 during the peak of the NFT craze. It was pitched as a play-to-earn game. You buy these NFT eggs with cryptocurrency. They're supposed to hatch into exotic animal hybrids, and you can breed them and make passive income.
Except the game didn't work.
The game was fundamentally broken. It was mocked online for using basic stock images for its animals, but worse, the core functionality just wasn't there. People poured millions of dollars into this project, and it went nowhere. The value of their assets plummeted to zero.
And then CoffeeZilla, the internet detective who exposes online scams, did a massive 3-part investigation in December 2022 that just blew the lid off the whole thing.
He exposed the team, the broken code, everything. And Logan's initial reaction to that was, well, it was volatile.
He came out swinging. He made a response video threatening to sue CoffeeZilla for defamation.
He did. He called him a lopsided journalist. But the public backlash to that video was so severe that he deleted it within a day. Then he pivoted again, apologized, and promised a refund program. He said, I'm going to make this right. He committed $1.3 million, later upping it to $2.3 million, to a buyback program to refund investors.
Sounds good on paper.
Yep.
But there was a catch.
A big one.
A huge catch. The refund program didn't actually open until January 2024, a full year after he promised it.
Yeah.
And the terms were brutal. If you want to get your initial investment back, you have to sign a waiver, legally forfeiting your right to ever sue Logan Paul or anyone involved with CryptoZoo.
So you get your money back, but you can't sue for any additional damages or for the fraud itself. Exactly. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, in June of 2024, the other shoe dropped. Logan sued CoffeeZilla for defamation anyway.
After he had already apologized and admitted the project was a failure.
This is the part that is so critical to understanding the Logan Paul playbook. He publicly apologized for the failure of the project, but he is aggressively litigating against the journalist who exposed it. He claims CoffeeZilla intentionally omitted facts to get clicks. CoffeeZilla claims Logan is just trying to silence his critics through expensive litigation. It's a legal quagmire.
But it shows that his default mode is to fight back, even when public perception is overwhelmingly that he's in the wrong.
It's that maverick mentality again. I define the narrative, not you. And speaking of business, we have to mention the latest update from just last month, December 2025.
Anti-fund.
He was appointed a general partner of Anti-Fund, which is the venture capital firm co-founded by his brother, Jake Paul.
So now he's not just pitching his own products or starting his own companies. He's a gatekeeper. He's investing in and shaping the next generation of startups.
It formalizes the Paul brothers as a legitimate business institution, not just two chaotic content creators. It's a major power move.
We've talked career, we've talked business, we've talked alleged scams. Let's talk about the man himself for a minute. Is there a physical, medical reason for all this chaos in his life?
Well, there is a theory. In 2019, as part of a documentary, Logan visited Dr. Daniel Amen, a pretty famous brain specialist. Dr. Amen performed a SPECT scan of his brain.
And what did he find?
He told Logan that he had visible holes in his brain activity. Significant damage.
Damage from what?
From his years playing high school football. From concussions. Dr. Amen told him that this damage specifically affects the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for empathy, for impulse control, for foresight, for human connection.
So when he films a suicide victim in a forest, or says something horrific about abortions to KSI at a press conference.
The charitable reading, the medical reading, is that he is fighting against literal brain damage that makes it harder for him to empathize with other people. The cynical reading is that it's a convenient narrative shield. My brain made me do it. But the diagnosis is on the record from a respected doctor.
He's also changed his environment pretty dramatically. He left the chaos of Los Angeles.
He did. He moved to Dorado, Puerto Rico. He's living in a $13 million rental mansion.
Why Puerto Rico? Is it for the weather? The quiet life?
It's for the taxes. Puerto Rico has a law called Act 60. If you move there and establish residency, you pay significantly less, sometimes zero in capital gains tax. It's a financial optimization play, plain and simple.
So it's not the move of a wild kid seeking thrills. It's the move of a wealthy C-suite executive protecting his assets from the IRS.
Exactly. It's a very corporate decision.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the final piece of the evolution.
He's a family man now. This is the part that still feels weird to say out loud. Logan Paul is a husband and a father.
He got engaged to the model Nina Agdal in 2023. They weathered that awful storm with Dylan Dennis together. And they got married on August 15th, 2025, in a lavish ceremony in Lake Como, Italy.
Very fancy. And they have a daughter, right? Born in late 2024.
Yes, their daughter was born in September 2024. And this is the big question we're all watching now in 2026. Does fatherhood fundamentally change him? Historically, Logan monetizes everything. His relationships, his failures, his fights. Will his family life become just another chapter of his content, or will it be the one thing he keeps sacred?
Well, considering his brother is his business partner, his best friends are his employees, and his former rivals are his co-founders. The lines between personal and professional are pretty blurry.
They are non-existent.
So we're almost at the end of the hour. We've gone from the Ohio linebacker to the Vine star, to the most hated man on the internet after the Suicide Forest, to the boxer, the WWE champion, and the VC mogul. What does this all mean? How do we sum this up?
If you zoom all the way out, Logan Paul is the ultimate survivor of the attention economy. He proved that in the digital age, shame is not fatal. In the old world, the Aokigahara video ends a career. Full stop. You go away. You never come back.
And in the new world?
In the new world, shame is just a plot twist. It's a season finale. You issue an apology, you pivot to a new vertical, you find a new audience, and you keep filming. He has been sued, canceled multiple times, punched in the face by Floyd Mayweather, and publicly exposed for a failed crypto project. And yet, here in 2026, he is more relevant, wealthier, and more powerful than he was when he was the most loved Viner back in 2015.
It's resilience, but it's a dark kind of resilience, isn't it?
It is. And here's the provocative thought I want to leave you with as we wrap this up. We talked a lot about his WWE career. In professional wrestling, there's a core concept called kayfabe. It's the performance of reality. You pretend the rivalries are real, the animosity is real, even though everyone involved and most of the audience knows it's a scripted performance.
Right. Maintaining the illusion.
I think Logan Paul has successfully turned his entire life into a wrestling script. He's put the whole world in kayfabe. When he sues CoffeeZilla, is that a real legal dispute? Or is it a heel move to generate buzz? When he joins the Vision and attacks CM Punk, is that Logan or is that his character, the Maverick? When he posts a loving photo with his wife, is it genuine affection or is it a face turn to soften his image?
The lines are completely gone.
Exactly. The audience can no longer tell the difference between real, controversy-like CryptoZoo and scripted, villainy-like, using the brass knuckles in WWE. And perhaps that confusion is exactly the product he is selling. We aren't watching a person anymore. We are watching a 24/7 multi-platform performance art piece called Logan Paul. And whether we love him or hate him, we are all paying for the ticket with our attention.
That is a terrifyingly brilliant way to put it. He's working us, the entire audience, all of us.
Always.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive. Whether you're Team Maverick or you're just waiting for the next scandal to drop, you absolutely cannot say it's been boring.
Never, ever boring.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Stay curious.